Hello and welcome to today's historic best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on Coco Cats, which is, it's pretty self-explanatory from the name of the list. We have collected company and a load of cats and a lot of cat synergy, or just particularly, good cats in a vacuum. And so we try and play some cats early on, if at all possible, and maybe even with a collected company, getting a good spike of power in the early game, and even developing a board with cards like Brimaz and, we'll say, Arabo. We can also, with those cards, generate, and even the Ocelot Pride does this sort of too. Not only do we just summon a big board of some synergy-laden cats, but we also can go a little bit wide with the cats that we summon. And then from that, we try and apply some pressure and hopefully bring our opponent's life total to 0. Deck is pretty self-explanatory, so in a rare quick deck tech, we'll go on to the land base. Land base is pretty self-explanatory. We have some dual lands, or some shock lands, some 2-color producing lands. I do have some of the surveil lands, but if you say only have temples in your list, you can run them. Because this list doesn't have any 1-drops, as there are no really good aggressive 1-drops, or good, like, Lord-style effects, even in the 2-drop slot for cats, you could afford to take off a turn, like a turn 1, or a turn in the late game, to get a little bit of card draw, since you don't need to hit the ground running. Like we talked about in the list, you're looking for more spikes of big, high impact turns than you are like hitting the ground running out of the gates, I should say. Got some basics, got some of the channel lands, also have a turn timber symbiosis, there we go, as a sort of extra copy of collected company, sorta kinda, but there can also just be a land if you need it. Land base also pretty self-explanatory, except for the one we talked about. Sideboard also very standard silver bullet stuff. Path to Exile if we need some creature removal. Since this deck doesn't do a great job of removing opposing creatures, we just try to, run over them. Sometimes you do need to have a removal spell. A couple Thalias to deal with non-creature spells. A couple Prowling Serpopods, which is a way to deal with the counterspell heavy matchups, and is also a cat itself, which is nice. Same reason why we have a Lion Sash. It is a cat that also works to sort of hose and hate on graveyards. A couple Selfless Spirits, pardon the yawn. And it's just a way to protect our board from wraths that can also itself be hit with a collected company, effectively giving us an instant speed, like heroic intervention on a body. Couple Voice of Resurgences as a way to just punish decks that want to play spells on my turn. These are countless, anything from blue-white controls to even Is It Wizards or some Dimir, Rogi Mill stuff. Voice of Resurgence is a great way to just sort of make your opponent think twice about doing that. And a couple Knights of Autumn, usually for a disenchant effect if we need it, but again, this is one of those, it's a nice little sideboard card that can also be hit with a collected company at instant speed, in addition to all of its nice utilities that it has baked into the card already. And that's the basics of the list. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content, and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions, like, I don't have X, what about Y? As long as your comments are nice and somewhat constructive, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. I will say one thing really fast about the budget list. This is not a budget-friendly list. There are loads of rares across loads of different sets, and even some mythics here, that are... So it's not going to be the most budget-friendly, and honestly, cats don't have the greatest amount of synergy with other cats, so you really have to pull from this list. But if you ask questions about X or Y, I will do what I can to offer some sort of suggestion or help. Anywho, with that out of the way, finally, now we'll go on to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little collected companies cats list And like always, and like I always will say, we go first because we have a brain. And this is a perfectly acceptable hand. 3 lands, 4 spells, things to do. We will go ahead and play the Temple Garden. Tap, since we don't have anything else to do anyway. Oh yeah, the Capenna soundtrack is like very nice. See what our opponent's doing while we sit here and vibe. It's not a great sign, but what are you gonna do? I guess we'll play Najani. We don't know that it's a blue-white control. There's also some weird Jeskai control-y list floating around that do have some sort of an energy theme sometimes, but so it could be a blue-white control or maybe like a Jeskai control thing. Only time will tell. Go ahead and play a Boseiju as a land. Play the Burmaz. We fully expect they're going to interact with something or counter something. We're just trying to make our opponent use the answers they have. I would say Reprieve is a weird one, but having the Cavern of Souls in my list and therefore giving my cats the ability to not be countered, Reprieve actually makes sense in a weird way. Again, play a Burmaz. If they have the counter spells or interaction, we just got to make them use it. They're running enough blue-white lands that I think it is a pure blue-white control. We can do okay. We are going to bring in a good chunk of the sideboard cards, so we're going to lose a lot of the cat theme for like Athalia and a Voice of Resurgence. But we are going to bring in like a Serpapod, so we're not losing it entirely. So we're probably going to take away some of the lords, since we're just reducing the overall count. And maybe a couple Skyclave apparitions, since they don't usually run that many things that can be hit with the apparition. Snapcaster into Tune. Again, pardon the yawns, it's just late. That's fine. Totally cool with that. Do we play an Ajani in case they have a removal spell? Well, okay, we definitely play the Ajani now, since we don't have enough creatures to really do much anyway. And it's one of my cats. Hi, Bo. Hi, baby boy. Yeah, come hang out. Yeah, play the Ajani. Again, just make them have the answers. I'm less concerned about a sweeper now, since they did play the Path of Exile, or Path to Exile, or whatever the hell it's called. To Exile. Hi, Bo. Hi, baby boy. Little man. Hi, buddy. You want to hang out, or are you just coming to stop by and to visit? Go ahead and just attack and try and chip in where we can. They've managed to really interact with our board, but they are down to 10 life. Kind of doing work. Sweet cat, you can't get behind the monitor. Little man, what you doing? Can't be behind there, buddy. That's not where cats go, little man. Yeah, buddy. Idote. I guess we'll play the Pride Sovereign. Start trying to build up a board again so we can buff it with a Feline Sovereign. And blue-white control decks do sometimes run some of the like white, like Oblivion Ring style effects. But probably not this person. Pardon? Oh, okay. It's a technically cheaper way to do that. Okay. They are running Wandering Emperors. That does make the prospect, I should say, of keeping an apparition in better. And a Tameo? Maybe the apparitions stay. Still feeling good, though. We'll do an Innkeeper. Innkeeper is one of those cards that is not a cat, but is just a good card for this list. If our opponent has the interaction, they have it. Play the cub here, the Scythe Cat. Yeah, we'll go ahead and attack with a Sovereign. They could chump block. They could have another Wandering Emperor, which would be weird. If he blocks with a creature land, we're happy to take that trade. Oh, all day. I take... Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Get rid of the land. That's the more long-term impactful one. We might be in trouble. We're in the turns like 5 and 6 and all that. Basically, our opponent has largely turned the corner. So we're going to be in for like a rough time. We can just eat that. That's okay for right now. Oh, okay. In that case, we'll go ahead and do an apparition, getting rid of the Emperor while we can. And I suppose we'll play a Realm Walker, naming cats. A nice little way of getting some card draw into any tribal deck that can run it. There's Teferi. Knew there was going to be one floating around here.
Right on schedule. You know what?
Get pretty old school. Honestly, for as long as this card has been out, because I've actually been playing since the card came out, it has been like pretty much a mainstay of blue-white control list. I guess we'll go from the top, like King of the Pride. They have a counterspell, they have it. That's fine, I don't really care about that. Play the Cub. I still value having the Boseiju. More so. You can make an argument that I should have played the Boseiju, or I could have played the Boseiju, gotten the Feline Sovereign out and killed the Teferi, but I don't know if that's going to mean the most. Yeah, they're going to have a lot of... They also have enough sweepers that we're going to have to bring in some of the Selfless Saviors too. We'll play this out, but it doesn't look good. Yeah, it's not a good look, if we're being honest. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing I do is going to let me really do this smoothly, so I guess we'll just pass. We don't love that. We're still in the game, though. We're not, like, dead. So it's not going that bad.
You know what?
See what our opponent does. Almost certainly, regardless of what they do, we're probably going to play the Collected Company on their instep. We have enough life totals to eat the 4 and be pretty okay with that. Correctly scrying before the Teferi trigger, just giving them more options. Okay, if he has a counter spell and I get he counters this, I goofed that and I should have, in response. Okay, that wouldn't have mattered. That makes me feel better. He would have had that anyway. But yeah, I arguably made a bad call there. Okay, we're just gonna do this. They clearly aren't playing the white Oblivion Ring style effects that I thought they would, or sometimes they do. So we're just gonna play some cats. To admittedly, questionable results. Because it might not be enough to really matter at the end of it. And this is just one of those, yeah, like, their control deck did a good job of, like, stalling for time and turning the window. Can't really ask for much more than that. Is there a path to exile in there still buried that they're going to look for? Yeah. I get a land, which is something. Yeah, 100%. Give me a basic land. I do think we need to start blocking, which isn't great. Or do we block? That is the question. I honestly don't think we block, since there's a good chance that we're probably dead anyway. I would rather try and, like, make a big board and squeeze out a win, even though it seems super unlikely. That helps. See what we can find, if anything useful. If he counters this, which I believe he can, we are just going to scoop. There's nothing else to do at this stage. He's got it. Yeah, that's fine. Totally fair and square. No complaints. Now, what comes in? Voices are pretty good. Wait, come on. Some Serpopods, some Thalias, some Selfless Spirits. Feline Sovereigns aren't that good. Pride Sovereigns aren't that great. King of the Pride's not that great. Maybe, like, one Apparition goes down. Maybe one Scythe Cat Cub goes down. Yeah, that's alright. We're okay with that. We'll see. And not for nothing, as you can clearly see, this little collected company cats list did get me to Diamond. So it's a good list. If nothing else, even if the particular games you see in this video might both be losses or a loss and a win or whatever, this should show that, like, the deck does work. It's a fun list. It can get you wins. It can get you quest rewards. And it's like a cute tribal or typal kind of deck. Which, I mean, if you're like me, is kind of all you need. I like to experiment and tinker, and this is one more good experiment. Again, play first. Windlander is no bueno. That's better. Guess the Apparition can go. Yeah, because I don't have two white sources without the Innkeeper anyway. Yeah, we'll play the Innkeeper on 2, so we can, in theory, play 2 Ocelot Prides on turn 3. Tameo certainly is a card. We should be okay and not need to do the counterspell. We shouldn't need to play the Serpopod, since they're not going to really have access to counterspells till usually turn 3. There are technically counterspells they could play, but if they do, that's fine. We will play the Besage You now, however. Play 1 Ocelot Pride, and then the other with the treasure. And this is the reason why we have the Innkeeper, since we have an additional way to activate the Ocelot Pride's life gain clause, as well as, you know, the Pride itself. Now, if our opponent just walks into a Sweeper or like a Divine Purge or something, like, life's gonna suck. There's just no two ways about it. Probably doesn't attack and uses... Really? Okay, attacks with Tameo. That would tell me that you probably have interactions or a Sweeper. Again, I say Divine Purge because that card is so popular. It's honestly probably, at least in white, the most played alchemy card in the format. Really? Oh, well, okay, right, then I can't attack with... Okay, I was about to talk mad shit, but that actually is pretty smart.
Tell me everything you know about this plane. Use your words.
Okay. Thalia, a turn slow. Okay. Planeswalker. But it's not like a counter. It's not like the one... Which... Gain in, gain the life. So the Pride's going to turn on. And we're Ascended. This sucks, but we couldn't attack even if we wanted to. Just trying to make a really big scary board, and if with any luck if they don't sweep our board, this is a big caveat, if they don't sweep our board, and we might be able to find one of the, there goes that hope, I was going to say we might be able to find one of our lords that we have left in the deck with a collected company, but that clearly isn't going to happen. Just play a Thalia. Hope we get there. We're probably not gonna. It's one of those, they found a sweeper, and we didn't have one of our selfless saviors to ensure our board, but that's just, you know, that's kind of what a post-sideboard game is going to be. It's not like, not a whole lot you can do, kind of thing. I mean, if he spends a turn removing the Thalia, we're kind of okay with that.
I am not.
Or Jace. He bounces it, I guess. What's the ult on this Tamiya? Draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library rounded down, and you have a no max hand size emblem. Cool. I guess we'll do a collected company. See what we can find. Not the most useful. Oh well, I guess Brimaz and King of the Pride are the best options we have. We can, if nothing else, keep them off of... Oh, or... I was going to say without the Tamiyo upkeep. We were going to keep the Tamiyo off the ult, but now they have just enough with the uptick. But I still think that's the correct play. Oh, right. Another sweeper. I do not think I have... And I'm not being, like... What's the word? Hyperbolic. I do not think I've ever seen anybody use the down tick on this Tamiya. Like, good on them. They did good. Game is likely over. What's the ult? It's on the ult on Jace the Mind Sculptor. Another thing I've never seen used. Exile all cards from target player's library, then that player shuffles their hand into their library. Cool. Yeah, they've done the thing. It's unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? You are gonna lose some every once in a while. That's cool. Probably a land or something useless.
Violence is not the answer.
God, he could just, like... Honestly, we're in a really, really bad spot here. I'll play the Cubs since I'm just trying to make them make decisions. I see now... Oh, man, it is really... I hate that this is a good one in a blue-white control list since it lets you buy back your sweepers and stuff, and not in a way where it's like a... the Spellcaster Mage, or whatever the hell it is, where I believe you exile the card. That just gives you an extra copy. I hate that it's really good. But, I mean, good on them. We'll run this out for as long as we can, but if they activate the ult on, like, a Jace, then I'll scoop. They're sculpting my mind, if you will. So I'm not getting the best cards, but they certainly are cards.
Think before you act.
You're in a boatload of trouble and have probably lost. Really? That seems odd that you... What is that one again? Oh, okay, I was about to say, that seems so odd to let me keep unless you had a counterspell. But they did. I guess we attack the Jace. Okay. It's over. They've won fair and square. It's one of those. Again, we're playing an aggressive deck. Sometimes you're going to get out-controlled by a control deck. It's kind of what they do. And sometimes you will and you can win with this list. Just didn't win this time. But anywho, with this first admittedly long-winded game out of the way, we'll go on now to game number 2. And game number 2 with our little Coco Cats list. And we'll go ahead and keep this one. It's perfectly fine. 2 lands, a thing to play. Odds are we'll find another thing to play also. Or another land, but in this case we found another cat to play, which is perfectly fine. Cavern of Souls, again, naming cat. Guess we'll do the Ajani first, in the off chance it happens to trigger early.
To the hunt.
Who's running Esper? Esper what? Diviner Fates enters, it connives when you discard one or more cards. See card choose type with the card. Okay. I guess we'll do an Ocelot Pride. Attack with the token, see if they give me a free Ajani flip. They correctly do not. They do in fact know what they are doing. Some Esper control thing? Oh, Esper Reanimator. I just didn't know that art for... Okay. That is fine. In that case, we'll do a Forest. Play an Arabo, or however you pronounce it. Go ahead and attack there. Our whole board's going to die next turn, isn't it? Didn't think about that. Yeah, we really sort of fucked that up. But yeah, that was going to really absolutely hose my board. I literally think no matter what I would have done or played there. Yeah. That sounds about right. Is there any... Yeah, all my things die, and we just die. Wow. Okay. My God. Okay, well played. So it's Esper Reanimator, which makes more sense now. Some Lion Sashes are coming in. Some Path to Exiles are coming in. Collected Companies can kind of go out. Not being the most helpful right now. King of the Pride. All my Sovereigns and Lords and stuff can kind of go. And Skyclave can technically hit some of their enablers, but not the payoffs. Which, I mean, sometimes, even if just hitting the enabler is all you can do, it's still something. Although, I mean, well done. They really, like... Honestly, it's about as good as you could really hope to do. Hopefully, we find our, I was going to say our Scoobs, our Lion Sash. And, you know, hopefully we're able to have the mana open to, like, you know, to, in response, exile whatever they were going to get rid of or whatever they were going to reanimate and get rid of it regardless, is what I meant to say. Opponent's really in the tank, and I don't know if they super need to be. I mean, maybe there's, like, different things you could reanimate. That's about all I can think of. But yeah, I mean, go ahead and play first. And yeah, 3 lands, 4 spells. Can't ask for much more than that. Granted, our Lion Sash isn't here, which we don't love. But maybe they won't have as explosive. Oh, almost certainly there's a... If this Triumph's in here, then I would almost guarantee that there is a Traxa in here somewhere. And you just have like 1 or 2 Triumphs here, so you can like hard cast it if you need to.
Me, brother.
Again, playing a Johnny, summon a big board. Hopefully the board survives. Probably going to play a Mutavault next turn, so we can have access to creature lands in the future. Fatal Push is fine. Does that kind of changes things? But not that much. We'll just play another Johnny. Again, hope they might have another like Fatal Push or something, and that's fine. But every turn they spend removing our board is one they are not filling up their graveyard with. And we take those. Can't really complain too much about that. Probably going to play a King of the Pride and just hope we can apply some pressure. The fuck is that one? Cure the Rising Tide. ETB, draw 2, discard 2. Threshold, when you attack, throw 7 more cards in your yard. Create a Scion of the Deep. That's kind of cool. I had not seen that one. Actually, like a pretty good enabler, and even if you can't find, I actually really like that in like a reanimator list. It's a creature itself, so it can apply pressure or stall for time if you need it. And even if you happen to, by some miracle miss all of your big hits in the form of things you would have reanimated, or like even if you like missed the way to reanimate them, Kiora here, if nothing else, gives you a big scary octopus dude. I really like this card. That's super cool. That's awesome. There might actually be like an interesting brawl deck in that too. That's really cool. That's awesome. Well, when I get done recording, I think I'm going to like burn a wild card on crafting this, and I might actually make a fun brawl deck, as our opponent takes forever to decide. But it's all good. I don't think that changes, like, our odds are, unless we draw a Lion Sash, I don't think that super changes our game plan, right? Oh, hell yeah. Thank God somebody else is running Bitter Triumph in their reanimator list. So good. Play the Iganjo, play a King of the Pride, and just kind of hope they like block, but they might not. How many cards do they have? They have 4. Okay, so they don't have Threshold online. Pretty good. Oh, okay, hang on, I might not actually burn the wild card. I forgot it's a legendary. The legendary makes more sense from a balance perspective, but I don't know if it's going to be that good for, like, a brawl list. But anywho, go ahead and play a forest, play an Arabo, play dudes, buff dudes, play an Ocelot Pride, therefore getting more dudes. Go face. If they block the King of the Pride and get rid of it, we're just happy to make them remove things. Since they have to block something here, they just die. You have to block 2 things here, actually. Again, happy to lose the Lord if I need to, if it accomplishes the goal of restricting their options. My brain melted there. I don't think my decisions change. Yeah, we're good. I think we made the right calls in sideboarding originally. I have to be honest, with how fast that first game went, I was like super scared that this was going to be a very, very quick one, and I like might not have had the ability to like. Well, I would have been able to use the overall game, but I would have had to like record another one, which I don't mind doing. I just try to keep them to like a couple games to any given video. Oh boy. Again, pardon the yawns, I apologize. It's late, and it's not quite past my bedtime, but it's getting there. I would say I don't know why our opponent's so in the tank in sideboarding, but I have been guilty of using a sideboarding set, like, what do you call that? We'll say session. I've been guilty of using sideboarding sessions as like, I gotta use the restroom real quick, or grab a drink of water, knowing I had, 2 minutes is enough to like do what you gotta do sometimes. Whatever happens, I like our opponent's list. The Kiora is a little less. Well, okay, it's still good in our opponent's list, but yeah, it's not as interesting for a brawl list as I thought it would be, because it's not churning out 8/8 each time you attack. It only turns out 1 legendary one. Now, again, that's the smart thing to do balance-wise, is to let you just summon a big dude And also, is I imagine probably healthier for limited, since yeah, being able to get a new 8/8 every turn in Jumpstart Limited would fucking suck. Anywho, we'll keep this one. Things to do, couple lands, spells we can cast off the lands. Can't ask for much more. What is this? It's a very cute art. Play a Lush Portico. I don't need the extra land. I can surveil that away. Probably going to play the Innkeeper on 2 in case we happen to find a collected company. Gets us there a turn earlier, in addition to whatever life gain synergies we might be able to get with an Ocelot Pride. Psychic Frog is a good one. Another really good one for their list. A way to just get free, or a way to freely be able to pitch all the things out of your hand you don't want in your hand. As well as, in the case of the Frog, actually like creating a scarier board state. I love our opponent's list. It's awesome. It's fantastic. Got the Faithful Mending. Yeah, they're doing all the things. Yes, argument we could have lost the Innkeeper, but I think I'd rather have them, or let them have a card. I would say what's taken them so long, but I know Psychic Frogs are an absolute bane of the existence of the timer. And it's one of those, I know in their head they've like skipped through the turn. I don't think they're like really thinking about what they are gonna like discard. There you go. Eventually caught it. Well, since we've drawn the apparition, we have to get rid of it. The frog being. Question is, does our opponent discard some stuff out of their hand right now? If they have a Unburial Rites and like a big thing to like reanimate with the rights, then that's a thing you could do. Which one is that one again? Okay, flying, lifelink, ward, sacrifice 3 non-land permanents. If a card you control would be put into... Oh, a card you didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with this. If you do, pay life equal to its mana cost. That is an interesting reanimation target. Not bad. Okay. He's also like a big, scary, flying, lifelinky dude. You might be in trouble. I didn't think about this card as a good reanimation target, but it's kind of good. I would argue that it's a little weird if it... How do I word this? It's great if I remove it, but if I don't remove it, I feel like it's kind of difficult to make me... How do I word this? It's hard to make my stuff die if I'm not paying the ward cost. Although I guess you could always just remove stuff like with your own cards. But it's weird to have so many removal spells. Or, well, beyond a certain density of removal spells, like so many is sort of like a certain amount is like a normal thing to have, but once you get above what is like a normal amount of like maybe 4 to 6 cards is, you're sort of pulling away from the reliability of the reanimation like package, for lack of a better term. We're taking this trade all day. I don't want them to have a big scary octopus every turn. That's fine. Take your 2/2. That's nothing to me. Guess we'll play the Lush Portico, see what we find. Collect company's nice. Play Burmaz so I can, if nothing else, block their stuff. Fortunately, I didn't have an answer. Well, okay, hang on. We arguably... Hang on. I don't think... I'm having a hard time remembering. I do not think this Priest of Felright was out when I played the Skyclave originally. I don't think I, like, Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was not. So I couldn't have gotten rid of the priest with the apparition. I could be wrong, and it might look dumb. I don't really have an answer for that, do I? But honestly, it's a big, scary, flying, and lifelinky dude. I think I might just die. But in a weird way, if they attack, I think I kind of have an opening. But they've shown they have fatal pushes, and even the what's the 3 mana? I just praised the card like last game. The 3 mana destroy a creature or walker, but you gotta pay 3 life or discard a card thing. They have that card. With that card and fatal push, they do have enough removal options to sort of be threatening, for lack of a better word. I guess we can do Pride Sov. Hang on, let's do Ocelot Pride first. The Collected Company weirdly isn't that good, since I'm not going to be able to really get rid of... Or I'm not going to be able to go wider than our opponent's board, kind of. So we're just going to try and make a big board. Like a sufficiently wide board that if I happen to, like, run into a... no attacks. Run into one of the lords, we might be able to, like, push through damage, maybe? Oh, okay. That's cool. Cool. The Divine Purge is fucking weird. Let me, can I see that card? Is it all? Why would you? It also fucks with your priest. That's so weird. Okay, this is a weird non-bow for them. It would mess with their Kiora. It messes with their Priest of Fell Rights. I know why they bring it in, because it's like a good sweeper, and I don't think this is in their main deck. But I would argue there are better way. There are probably better ways to do this than a Divine Purge, but Divine Purge is good in a very general sense. But oh well. Some games you win, some games you lose, and again, even though this deck did lose both games in its video, it's still a good deck and will still, like, serve you well. You'll be able to do quests, you'll be able to get some wins and all that stuff. And it can get you to Diamond, but as you can see, once you hit Diamond, you've kind of hit the glass ceiling here. You're going to have a hard time doing much better than that. But anywho, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions like, I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. And, oh yes, I remember the outro now. And remember, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together.